Topic number one, Russia heavily attacking in Kursk Oblast for third day, actively using North Korean troops. Topic number two, Kyiv, Trump's special envoy for Ukraine, will travel to Kyiv in early January and won't travel to Moscow. In a Blitz interview with ex-British Army Lieutenant Colonel to comment on all that and more. So, good afternoon, my name is Henry Keane, and we are UATV English, an English-speaking Ukrainian state media in constant persuasion of delivering hard truth in easy terms for you, for the whole free world, directly from Ukraine. If 3 years ago, someone would have told me that Russian forces are carrying out an offensive in Russian Kursk Oblast against Ukrainian incursion into Kursk Oblast, that happening after Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and as if that not enough, that someone would have told me that Russians are actively using North Korean troops for that within its own territory against Ukrainian forces. Well, I would have clearly advised them to visit a physician, but this is exactly what is the case today.
For the third day, Russian forces have been conducting intensive offensive operations in Kursk Oblast, actively using North Korean units. North Korean mercenaries have suffered heavy losses. Ukrainian troops are holding the defenses, destroying personnel and equipment. Armed Forces of Ukraine Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky.
Russia deployed over 10,000 North Korean troops to help oust Ukrainian forces fighting in Kursk Oblast since early August. The Special Operation Forces of Ukraine said that they had eliminated 50 North Korean soldiers in Kursk Oblast in 3 days and injured 47 more. The full extent of North Korean losses is hard to ascertain, but for obvious reasons, Russia is trying to hide the casualties. Citing Ukrainian soldiers, however, The Economist wrote that Ukraine likely lost around half of the territory it had captured in the initial phase of the operation in August and September. An officer talking to the outlet connected this development to the redeployment of the elite units that first spearheaded the offensive. Western outlets also say that Ukraine likely seeks to hold on to a piece of Russian territory in Kursk as a possible bargaining chip ahead of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's expected push for peace negotiations. And maybe we are. But whatever the goal of Kyiv is, what is obvious and more important, the Ukrainian army have shown to the world that Russia can and should be invaded back. In 100 years, nobody did that to Russia. Ukraine did. And that even a small division of the Ukrainian army is enough for Russia to keep spending months of time and billions of dollars to oust it. And even so, Moscow can't do it on its own and calls for North Korean help. Now tell me the hard truth in easy terms. In case of full-scale war with NATO, how fast do you think Russian forces will fall apart and dissipate if we see the Kremlin can't get a hold of its own land for months long, even with another rogue dictator's help? Kyiv, nominated by US President-elect Donald Trump as special envoy for Ukraine, will travel to Kyiv in early January, as Reuters reports, citing sources familiar with the trip's planning. According to Reuters, during the visit, Kyiv is expected to meet with senior Ukrainian officials. His team is also working to arrange meetings in other European capitals, Rome and Paris. The trip is described as a fact-finding mission for the incoming Trump administration rather than active negotiations, as it looks to address Russia's criminal war against Ukraine. Sources noted that the schedule is still being finalized and may change. Previously, US President-elect Donald Trump addressed the whole issue whether Ukraine should cede any territory to Russia. In his response, Trump described the devastation across Ukrainian cities, stating they have been reduced to ruins, leaving people with nowhere to return. Well, in easy terms, what seems most important to me during his visit, Kyiv is not expected to visit Moscow. And I repeat, Trump's envoy on Ukraine and Russia is visiting only Ukraine this time. So, why no Moscow? Some might ask. Well, maybe because Russian dictator Putin took all of Donald Trump's peace efforts and hints and opportunities that the president-elect has created specifically for him for granted. Maybe because the Kremlin was escalating back then, is escalating now, and has never shown no intention for fair negotiations whatsoever, other than complete Ukraine's military absorption, and that is while its own Russian land, domestically, in Kursk Oblast, is still under Ukrainian control, and Russian forces are forced to flee from international battle arenas, like, for example, Syria. Well, maybe also because Putin is neglecting all and any concepts of peace, but the one that allows him to continue war and do whatever he wants and show the world that Trump is weak and has no authority over him whatsoever. And I think this is good for Ukraine, as it gets Donald Trump closer and closer to be grasping a bare fact. In 24 hours or not, Putin cannot be talked sense to, only forced. Ex-British Army Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Grant is with us tonight. Good day, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Right, so it depends. So let's do it military way, straightforward way. Keith Kellogg as a special envoy for Ukraine. Some say it's the best ever Trump's pick for Ukraine. Can you please comment on that?
Well, he's a good and experienced man. What we don't know is how much he's his own man and how much he will take the what he sees on the military side and actually take that back in a clean fashion, or whether he's going to feel slightly overawed with Trump and maybe bend things and agree to what Trump says instead of what he actually sees and believes. And I can't tell that. I mean, we've seen several senior American officers bend in the past. Let's hope that this one hope he's solid and that he actually reports back fairly what is happening to Trump.
Well, he's visiting Kyiv probably in January and not visiting Moscow. You know, some experts are looking for a reason to say that this is so very good, but some are saying that he might just go to Moscow later on afterwards. But anyway, I think
I think he's got to go to Moscow at some stage.
That is true.
I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. And arguably, if he doesn't, then he's not doing his job. I'm slightly disappointed that he's only coming to Kyiv, because then he's going to get, I'm sorry, but he's going to get a slanted version of all sorts of things. And really, as a general, he needs to go to the front, and he needs to get as close to the front as he possibly can to actually to see the nastiness of it all, and to understand, you know, how the war really is going. Because, you know, when we listen to Trump, you'd think that you know, the whole of Ukraine is in flames and dying and nothing's happening. And Kellogg needs to see that there's a real world out there as well as the war, and come back with some positive views that Ukraine can win this.
The positive views, you say, but fleeing from Syria, now using North Korean troops in Kursk, could that be a positive sign of Russia's growing military fatigue and weakness, or am I just wishing for reality here?
Very good question. I don't think you can necessarily add those things together, because let's just take the North Koreans. I mean, that's a gift, isn't it? That's a gift to actually get the soldiers who actually are as a group quite well trained. They're not good tactically individually, because they haven't been soldiering for a long time. Yeah. But as a coordinated group, battalions, they can fight en masse. And they seem to be quite happy to die en masse as well. So that's a gift from him. When you allied that to the missiles, to all the ammunition that they're getting, and all that, of course, is saving Putin for the longer run, you could say. Right. Now, Syria, I'm not sure that Syria wasn't due for happening anyway, whether Russia was in there or not, because, you know, Russia has not been able to quell and to soften the opposition over many years now. So it's not as though it's suddenly happened, that part has suddenly happened. Yeah, right. You know, they've been dropping bombs all over the place and chemical weapons, and it still hasn't stopped the opposition. I suspect that is more to do with Turkey and Turkey's energy in this at the moment than it is to do with Russian weakness.
But do you believe that some part of Kursk territory can be used as a bargain chip of sorts in any negotiations with Russia, if any negotiations?
Yeah, but The answer to that is maybe, but bargain chip for how much?
Right.
And for what?
For what? Right.
And for what? You know, this is the difficult bit to see. And unfortunately, we are all beginning to start going backwards a bit in Kursk. No, not because we don't have enough troops, because this is a nonsense put about. It's because the troops that we've got are not properly equipped to do the job that they have to do. Not sufficiently well equipped to do it. And so we may actually lose Kursk in 2-3 months' time. But I'm pretty sure that the boys are not going to give up before Putin actually, before Trump actually takes power.
Right. Well, what I like the most about the conversations with you, Mr. Grant, is when you say we, Ukraine. You never say Ukrainian troops. You say we are going to do this and that. So you are a very good and loyal friend of Ukraine. So thank you so very much for that. But
thank you.
Turning back to your expertise and these negotiations, how real, how likely the whole idea is? I mean, because Putin thinks he is winning. Whatever the reality is. He thinks he's winning, which might not be true, might be true, who knows. But can he be forced to any negotiations at that stage, at that point, do you think?
I think this is, you know, that's a question that in a way you've got to actually ask Putin himself. Maybe someone should go and ask him. But the thing about it is with that single point is, if he does believe he's winning, he may just be looking for a strong enough excuse to mobilize. And if he's looking for a strong excuse, then the fact that Trump doesn't agree with what he with Putin keep fighting or something else might be a different switch that actually triggers something that we hadn't actually expected. But generally, I just don't see why he should stop.
Exactly.
I mean, what is Trump going to do? Okay, so he gives lots of weapons.
Right.
Lots of weapons. Well, we've had lots of weapons, and it hasn't helped. Nobody's going to put troops on the ground. We've seen that. We've had this argument. We've been there. The French, blah blah blah. Let's put troops on the ground. It's not happened. There are some troops inside helping directly, but most of those are volunteers. Most of those are ex-servicemen. You know, they're old American Marines and British soldiers, and
some of them you know personally, like Matthew Sampson, for example.
And many of them I know personally,
right. Yeah. Oh, right.
And but I just don't see yet that we've passed this point where NATO would actually be so strong in its feelings and its terms and its arguments that Putin would be worried about it.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I don't even think that NATO has to really put a boot on the ground. Well, we need weapons, and Ukrainian army is patriotic enough to do the job if properly equipped. Yeah. That's what I think. But Putin,
it is. But then you need the. But then you need the numbers.
Oh, right,
and we're not getting the numbers.
Yeah, that's
ammunition, drones, whatever it is.
Numbers. That's right. But coming back to Putin, sorry for saying that. I never thought that I would say that.
Yeah.
Coming back to Putin, Putin openly, obviously takes for granted, looks to me, each and every peace effort, peace opportunity specifically created for him by President-elect Trump. Do you think this is the case? He's just neglecting everything.
It's very hard not to see a relationship between Trump and Putin. I mean, no president in history has ever gone into a room without his advisors to talk one-to-one with the enemy. And Trump has done that and come away with nothing, apart from looking completely second division compared to Putin when he did it before Helsinki. So if there is a relationship, then we have to remember that, you know, a peace agreement like now or a ceasefire would be a political act. It would not be a military act. And Putin would use that to death. And he'd use it and he would abuse it, because every single treaty, every single ceasefire we've had so far, he's abused. So, you know, why should we believe any new one would be different? I don't think so.
It makes two of us for sure, sir. So thank you so very much for your time. It was again a lovely conversation, just as usual. So, and I hope to talk to you soon. Maybe this year, maybe already next year. If we don't talk
Yeah.
this year, so
I'm here.
Merry Christmas and thank you so very much.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Well, that will be all for today, folks. Thank you so very much for watching, for your time. I know it's precious. My name is Henry Keane, and we are UATV English, an English-speaking Ukrainian state media source, always in persuasion to deliver hard truth in easy terms for the whole free world directly from Ukraine. Please like, share, and comment. Your voice matters as it helps Ukrainian voice to be heard globally. So please stay safe and tune for more. Goodbye.